Hey everyone, welcome back for another Tuesday tip, and this is going to be a slight continuation on last week's with the masking and breaking up those gradients. So one of the other really cool things you can do inside of Unreal is you can access the baked ambient occlusion and use it as a mask. So that's what you're seeing here is I've accessed the ambient occlusion and put it into the material and applied dirt in the areas of the ambient occlusion. I've also multiplied out some of that area of dirt to break some of it up, and we'll see that in a second. So really quickly, in our world settings, when we go to bake our light maps, down here you have to use ambient occlusion and generate ambient occlusion material mask. So with that, those checked and baking all of that, baking that ambient occlusion, we get access. If I open up the material, we get access to a node called pre-compute AO mask. And with that, let's take a look at it in the most simplest form. Let's move this out of the way and just put these in. So I'm lerping white, brown, and masking it out with a pre-computed AO map. So this is the baked ambient occlusion from Unreal, which is really cool because as you put your scene together, you bake that custom ambient occlusion, you can access it and use it, say, as a dirt mask. So with these isolated, let me save this, and what you'll see is you should see the ambient occlusion. So we're seeing brown in here, and if I go into on lit mode, we can see the brown in there. So this is the dirt that's in there, and showing up dirt where there's ambient occlusion. And so we're getting, darkening there. So we're getting darkening AO plus the mask, and we can control all that stuff and tweak it later. But for now, just to show the concept and how you can use this pre-computed AO as a map, what I did is I piped in A and B, which are just the colors or textures, and the transition phase is the pre-computed AO mask. I have a contrast parameter, and the height material is a world aligned texture, so I don't need UVs for it, so I can scale it and it goes across multiple objects. So where the sphere meets the ground, it will continue on with the same texture because it's placed downwards and sideways and forwards and back. And if you want to learn more about that, that's one of my early Tuesday tips, one of the first few that I've done, and you can go back in the Gumroad and find that. And so with that height mask, as I put this in here, let's check this out. And I'll actually take the multiply out. So we're just looking at just the height material and how it breaks it up. So what we should see a mask that breaks all this stuff up. So we're getting a lot of breakup in here in that transition, just like last week. And what I did on top of that is I used this noise. So if I take this noise, you can see it's just a procedural noise inside of Unreal. If you type in noise, it'll be right there. So we got noise, and I scaled it up really big so that big swatches of this thing would get erased. And so I used some contrast to contrast if I want, or give me the option to contrast and tweak that a little bit, and I pipe that into the height. So I'm multiplying this noise over this texture, so erasing out areas of this texture, erasing out whole areas of this dirt. And so if I save, what you can see now I just have dirt in these small areas here in the corner, up here, and this is all done randomly. So I can't really control this. If I take this and 0.01 and save it, I mean, I can control it a little bit, but that's not the point. I really want just big open areas to erase some of this stuff out. I could start moving it around and scaling it a little bit, but other than that, there's not much control over it. And I have this parameter right here, so actually I can go negative and reverse it. So basically inverting it at the contrast, and I can push it and add some contrast and everything there. So let's take a look at this thing in a bigger scene and see how this dirt adds to a bigger scene. All right, so this is a scene from an earlier Gumroad, and with the same thing with the world aligned textures, and talking about how you can make a block out without UV. So you do need UVs for this. You do need light map UVs. And so if I go in here and I look at optimization viewports and light map density, you can see that I have everything on wrapped for light maps. So you do need that. They're quick on wraps, very, very simple. but it is block out, and I mean, block out is very easy to unwrap and get pretty quickly done. So with this, if I select one of these, you can see that we have dirt all over the place in here and under here, and we have some breakup in here. It's also breaking up the roughness and adding some ore to the scene. And if I click on my instance material here, and let's shrink this, put it over to the side. If I have a little switch that can turn dirt on and off, so you can see what it looks like with and without the dirt. So without the dirt, we have, still have a lot of breakup from the mask that I'm using to put inside there to give the albedo some breakup and some roughness. But once we add this, we get some darkening around the bottom, we get some at the top, we get some blend between these two objects that sit close to each other, and then we're masking those again with that height map. So if I have a little slider that I can add, which I'm just lerping against a number and no AO, so white and the pre-computed AO map, and sliding this number around as a parameter. And so we can get a lot of dirt in here. I can start to add contrast to it, get rid of some of the dirt and just have some breakup in there. And if I pop out of this camera and zoom around, you can see that we have a lot of dirt breakup in these areas and up in here. And I can put this back to 1, I can lower the contrast, and you can see the dirt kind of breakup in here. And I can also, I'll just make this all red just so you can see a little bit better. And we can do a lot of stuff with this, and you can see when I'm masking out with that noise like I showed before, it's masking out big sections of it randomly. I don't really have much control over that, like I said, but it's doing what it needs to do. Just break things up, add some variety, add some connection between the two, between the base of these pillars and the floor, and just break up the scene a little bit. So with that, we can get a lot going on with this, just with that dirt, and giving us a sense of scale and grunge, and just adding to our block out. And if we can sell our block outs quicker in the very beginning, the better we off are in the end, and we can get moving a little bit quicker and have a better sense of what we're really playing around in and seeing when we see all this stuff. Or maybe how this is going to look and feel. Do we want a bunch of dirt in here? Do we want this kind of scale? It starts to give you questions, and that gets you to ask your own questions about what can make this better. What does this work, having that breakup like this? Is that something I want, or do I not like it at all and I want to try something different, right? And so what I feel like this gives me is, it gives me a sense of scale, and it adds that sense of scale in your scene a little bit, just because you get some breakup and some more randomizations instead of everything being the same in your block out. So yeah, hopefully you find this useful. I mostly use this kind of stuff in block out, selling the idea. It's very cool. It's per material again, so you could just put it on some materials. It doesn't have to be on everything, right? You just have it on a switch for an instance, and I could have just a few of these have this instance on here that use that baked AO. But I mean, you are baking a lot of AO maps for your entire scene if you're baking your light map. So if you're doing it just for that, you want to make good use of it, and not just use it in 1 or 2 spots. So hopefully it's helpful. Hopefully it opens your eyes to a few other things you could do in Unreal to get some quick results. And have a great week, everyone. Thank you.